This is Leaf Life. All things cannabis for all people. Now, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf that is available in print in 14 states at your local cannabis retailer. Pick one up, and it's also available online for free at leafmagazines.com. I'm Mike Ricker, your host of Leaf Life, proudly with my co-host Wes Abney, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And of course, there's AJ OG.
Hola, aloha OGs.
And Mary J. White.
Baked with love.
Possibly the greatest political hypocrisy of our time is the fact that cannabis is currently legal in 40 states, while the government classifies it as a Schedule I drug, claiming that the plant has zero medicinal value. This is the same classification as heroin. If you're shrugging right now, you are not alone. This is The Feds Are Fucked.
America.
Our first segment, the taxation is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the second segment, when will they legalize? That's a big question.
Yeah.
So you'll want to hear this one. But before we get educated, we've got to get medicated as the usual. So Mary J. White, let's get stoned. What do you say? All right.
Let's get stoned. Oh, yeah.
And that means you, out there, you, I'm pointing at you, listening to the show right now, wherever your day is led you. Now it's time to fire up, chew up, drink up, get in the mood. As we introduce this show's Greg the Guinea Pig.
Hi, I'm Greg, and Ricker used to try his weed out on me. But now it's someone else's turn to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, this time he came all the way from the eastern part of the state. His name is Douglas Henderson. He's the CEO of Painted Rooster Cannabis Company. Mm-hmm. And he is featured, Painted Rooster is featured on the cover of the Northwest Leaf November Harvest issue. Congratulations on that. Douglas, welcome back to the Leaf Life Podcast.
So much for having me, guys. It's always great being here with you.
What was the first show you were on?
Living Soil. We were talking about talking about soil interactions with the plant, and also kind of giving some insights on what we can be doing with industrial hemp, the non-cannabinoid side of things, how we can fix the environment using that, and this whole federal government thing kind of does throw a wrench in all that. So it's nice to be able to come and talk about an issue that's kind of the scourge of the industry right now, but hopefully is getting better.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest shows, actually. Most downloaded nationwide and across the globe. We're downloaded in 50 countries plus. And people want to know more about Living Soil, but they also want to know why the feds are fucked, bro. But before we get into that discussion, let's spin AJ's wheel to see what you're going to be hitting and find out what's in AJ's stash.
What's in AJ's stash?
All right, it looks like we've got some bomb gelato in the house. I'm a big fan of gelato. They're out of California. They come from Medical Days, and they're just incredible team of growers.
Actually,
a massive team of growers.
Did not come from the Medical Days.
No.
That's the gelato strain that was developed by Sherbinski. People should know the difference. Gelato is actually a brand out of San Diego. Their owner and founder was on 2 of our previous shows.
Yes.
Gelato, the story, is one of our shows as well in past, and they make really cool fun packaging and branding products in every aspect of cannabis that you can think of. So they're winning in California, and they're supporters of the Leaf Life Podcast. In fact, they are one of our sponsors. So big ups
to Gelato.
Thanks, Gelato.
Yes,
Much
and
love.
You're right, my bad on that. The gelato strain is from Medical Days. Yes, touche. But this is an orange cream vape pen. There's 1 gram in here, and it's not just a vape pen, it's a live resin vape pen. So that should hit really nicely for you.
We'll pop off our flow prevention device from the top here.
Ooh. We call it the nipple.
Yeah.
The nipple?
Exactly.
Is that the technical term now?
I just like to pinch it.
Disposable vapes have come so far. Like in the time that I've been messing around with vapes in this industry, like it's cool to see.
They have. When disposable vapes came out, it was like ho hum. Now it's all everybody wants. You don't want to have to charge it. You don't want to have to buy an extra battery to screw it onto, and it's so practical and convenient. Just slip it in your pocket and hit the road, man, and you're good to go. Yeah. So what do you think, bro? Hey,
it's not bad.
How was the flavor?
It's very good. Yeah, honestly, like you can tell that it's actually really cannabis terpenes, which is a huge step up in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? So,
totally.
Yeah, it's good.
Well,
to
they
see.
have massive gardens, and they're definitely extracting real cannabis terpenes for their profiles. Also, I like how sleek it is. It feels really nice. It slip right in the pocket. Looks like Apple technology.
There you go.
That's what you want.
They go through 3,000 pounds a week.
That doesn't surprise me. I wonder what kind of extractor they use.
California's, I don't know, but California is obviously a big state, and there's a lot of cannabis sold, and Gelato is top tier, top 5 in the state, in fact. So big ups to them. Go back and listen to Gelato, the story, if you want to know more about them. Now, the feds are fucked. Yeah. Big sigh, big exhale
over here. I'm just like,
and the taxation is bullshit. And that really is the main reason why the industry is fucked. That is the barrier that keeps the legal market from proliferating over the black market. When you can buy your weed cheap from your guy down the street, why the hell wouldn't you? Instead of paying Uncle Sam that 50%, which is accrued at the cash register for the most part, right?
Yep. Yeah, in a lot of states, you're going to see this as an excise tax. It's going to ultimately go to the consumer, right? But you got to think about further ups the supply chain. So if, Washington State, obviously I'm most associated with. This is where I do business. But, in this state, we have a 37% excise tax on retail sales. Now you need to tack on your state sales tax on top of that. So now, we're at somewhere around 43.5%.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
then if you're in the city of Seattle, you've got an extra 3.5% that's going to go to the city. So there's a lot of people with their hands in the cookie jar as far as this goes. Now, tax rates across the country, kind of have a pretty wide range. Most of the states that are coming on that are newer, they're adopting much lower tax rates. So if you look at, a low one is like, Rhode Island, right? It's like 17%. That's still high, but it's 17%. It's much lower than what we're doing in Washington. In Washington, we are the highest in the country.
And what is that exactly collectively?
What do you mean? Sorry.
The percentage.
Oh,
47.5.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
47.5.
it was like 30 something, and now it's all the way like things have adjusted.
Yeah, and it'd be 50.5% if you were buying it at a Seattle-based retailer.
Wow, son.
And on top of that, there's a federal tax code called 280E that was created because of Al Capone. The term washing money comes from Al Capone owning laundromats and other cash-based businesses where you would wash the money through, just gave some air quotes, for those who aren't on our Leaf Life V2 page. But they would, cash business, you don't know where that money is necessarily coming from. So they would take all their illegal proceeds from, alcohol and drugs and gambling and put it into the laundry and make it legal taxed money that they could go buy assets with. And the government was like, nope, we can't have you turning this drug money into real money and accruing wealth and power the way the government likes to. And so they created tax code 280E, which says that if you're involved in a business that's deemed illegal, this could also be like a raw milk farm. This could be a lot of different things, depending on what the government says. You can't deduct any expenses. And that includes, ordinary business expenses like your rent, like your payroll, like your marketing, which affects us here at the Leaf.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely
the cannabis companies are getting hit at the state level for taxes based on the state, but then the feds come in and say you can't deduct any of those ordinary expenses. And so on average, it represents about a 20 to 30% tax of a company's gross revenue on top of the state tax.
God.
And it can be as high as 50%, depending on your what's called a 280E tax strategy. And there are CPAs who specialize in this. But ultimately, the feds are basically taking all this money out of the industry through this form of not allowing deductions while still maintaining the war on drugs and asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
So I like to say that the feds are getting to have their cake and eat it too, because they take the money from the legal businesses and then they still bust the people who are illegal or just caught in the drug war, take their cars, take their homes, throw them in prison and make them the new form of indentured slaves, basically doing prison labor. So it's a gross system. And eventually, enough of us are going to say, hey, this is fucked. This is taxation without representation.
Yes.
And we're going to demand change at a federal level.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that you said, taxation without representation, right? Because you look at how these taxes end up, and you're absolutely right about 280E. Not being able to write off anything except for cost of goods sold. Yeah. That's not ideal for any business.
Business killer.
Yeah. There are guys in tomato farms and cornfields and stuff like that. They're like, oh man, that doesn't sound great. I don't think that I'd be able to run an agriculture business that way.
Any business, a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it can't
a
be
magazine, even if we couldn't write off our expenses. And for our advertising clients, when they advertise with us, that's taxed as income. It's not a deduction. Whereas like if Nike spends 20% of its revenue on advertising, they get to write all that off.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, luckily for me, the Leaf is such a great value for us. We want to participate with you guys. We want to be at the Leaf Bowl. We want to be in the magazine so we can get out, to bud tenders and to consumers that are going to these stores and trying to learn about our products, right? Yeah. We've got a newer type of product that's not really mainstream yet, but wait for it. It's a growing segment. But I want to go back to taxation without representation. We were talking about the black market. And if you look at how the black market is currently functioning, they're not paying the taxes, which that's how it always was. Right. Yeah. But now that we have a recreational market in place, or we have medical markets in place in all these different states, the black market is effectively, that's the river, and we're throwing the tea in that thing. That's what all that weed represents, is we're putting it outside of government control. You don't get to make money on the tea, we're going to throw it in the river. Well, you don't get to make money on this product. And I don't want to, I'm not going to hate on any legacy grower, right? Like, keep doing what you're doing. What I would like to see is a place where we have a fair enough tax structure and a competitive enough environment where they're going to want to compete in the recreational market too, right? Because that's ultimately just going to benefit the consumer. You want people who know this plant well. We can plug sensors into root balls and do all this kind of stuff and grow, 1 million square feet in a greenhouse if we want to. But there's something to be said for the culture of how this plant is cultivated and what you get from different people's perspectives. So I'd like to see that change.
Well, the government has created the environment for the black market to exist. And you can look at prohibition with alcohol. It's very similar. They banned alcohol, and then suddenly something that had been sold for a long time in America became illegal. And it brought crime. It brought organized crime. Yeah. It brought a lot of violence. And the difference is that when alcohol became legal, those people were kind of viewed as martyrs. And some of the biggest smugglers ended up like the Seagram's family with the Seagram's Tower. They were able to convert that wealth over, and they were kind of accepted back in and even given front of the line treatment to go run the new alcohol system and profit from it. It's not been that way for cannabis, where the government still raids people and still shuts people down. And our heritage folks have gotten pushed out because it takes so much business experience and capital to exist in this highly regulated environment. Yeah. So it's a problem. They're creating the problem.
Right. Yeah.
And then saying, the only solution is more regulation and more enforcement. And both those things make the government money. And that's when you look at the government like a system.
Yes.
It's like, what's the purpose of it? It is to make money and sustain itself and grow itself. I've been on a lot of Ayn Rand lately.
And retain power.
Yeah.
Douglas?
Money is power.
Now it's time for you to play Know Your Slang, brother. You ready to lighten things up?
Let's see what's going on.
About to get lit. Hello, fellow teenager. It's time to ask if you know your slang. Oh, this is gonna be crunk.
By the way, your product of which you spoke moments ago is called Sun Gaze.
Yes.
It's a drinkable edible. If you're watching on YouTube, it is sitting right here in front of your TV. And it's my favorite drinkable edible ever.
Thank you.
They're 2.5 milligrams. It's light, so you can drink a 6-pack and feel great. Or you can just have one and catch a very slight little buzz. But it's delicious, and we appreciate the support, man.
Absolutely.
And sticking with us here at the Leaf, bro, it means a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and don't forget, we did bring out the 10 milligram Supernova since the last time I was on the show. We brought up the Zero.
Yeah, that's a tall boy, baby.
Yeah, we're trying to evolve the line.
Is that 16 ounces?
Yeah, 16 in that one.
Far out. Yeah. Hey, brother, do you know your slang?
We're going to find out.
We are, aren't we?
Just had my 40th birthday last month. So.
My gentleman.
Okay.
So you're losing touch, bro.
Yep.
And you got 3 kids.
I do.
You're out of the game, dog.
I am.
All right, number 1. This is a slang term for a marijuana cigarette that features a mixture of marijuana and tobacco. They are more common in Europe than they are in the United States.
Yeah, a spliff, right?
That's a spliff, man.
Yes.
And used to be my favorite way to consume, to be completely honest. Like, I used to be a cigarette smoker, and when you're working in the lab and you've got 50, 60 batches that you're rotating through, and you want to figure out what that flavor profile looks like, right on top, man. Make it a quick spliff.
My dude. Nice. Number 2. This slang word refers to a single inhalation of cannabis.
Oh, what? A rip, a puff.
A toke. She got it. That's right. Yeah. You got a little help on that one. Sure, that's right.
Yeah.
There you go, AJ. It's a toke. Let's take a toke, bro. But you're right. Many different answers. Yes. And number 3. This is the term given to a person who uses marijuana frequently.
Oh, I mean, informed consumer.
Yes.
I mean,
Say that.
Stoner.
That's right.
Yes.
My guy, it should be noted that there are levels to stoners. Of course, there are stoners, and then there are those who are stoned. And then there are those who are stoned-erer. Anything beyond that is bearded Lorax level, for which the name bearded Loraxerer applies. But that usually involves eating 100 milligrams of distillate backed by a dab and a bowl, of which he just ate before the show, which he confessed before we turned on the mics.
It's okay.
Stoner confessionals.
Oh, God. We'll just fill him full of sun gaze the rest of the day. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Hey, if you want to discover cannabis news, reviews, entertainment, and culture, and explore every single Leaf magazine since the beginning, closing in on 500 magazines, search leafmagazines.com. Editions is what I meant to say. Coming up in our second segment, we'll ask the burning question of when will they legalize cannabis? And we'll get another spin of AJ's wheel and kick it all off with another episode of Why Didn't I Think of That? With Mary J. Wife. Did I say wife? Mary J. Wife?
Don't even say that word around me, son, because I do not like it. It's not even my vocabulary. Back it up.
Say that.
Leaf Life continues in just a moment.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming.
Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment.
Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug.
There may be health risks associated with consumption of these products.
For use by adults 21 and older.
Keep out of the reach of children.
Some of the wardrobe, including Ricker Wes's sick lids, is provided by Grassroots California. Check out the dopeness at grassrootscalifornia.com.